Have you ever wondered what a young boy was thinking before he became a hero? Everyone knows about David and the giant, but what about David the shepherd alone on the hills, watching the stars, singing to God with only his sheep to listen? Let me take you into his quiet world, where courage was born long before the battle. The hills were my playground and my classroom. From the moment the sun rose, painting the sky gold, I was there with my sheep. Their soft bleats filled the morning air as I led them to grass and water. I was just a boy, but the sheep trusted me, and I loved them. The wind carried the smell of wild flowers, and the sky stretched wider than I could ever measure. Sometimes I felt small, but never afraid. Out here, I could hear my thoughts in God's whispers. The hills felt like his arms around me, safe and wide. I picked up my sling, practicing with stones, aiming at trees for fun. Little did I know, those stones and that sling would one day change everything. But for now, it was just me, the sheep, and the quiet hills. I liked to sing when the world was quiet. My voice was small, but it filled the air around me. I sang about green fields, about rivers that never ran dry, about God who never forgot me. Sometimes the sheep stopped grazing as if listening. Birds perched on branches above me, tilting their heads. The wind even seemed to pause. Music made my heart lighter, especially when I felt lonely. I thought about how big God must be to shape mountains and sprinkle stars. Yet he still saw me a shepherd boy with a sling and a song. That thought made me sing louder. I dreamed that maybe one day people would hear my songs and know they were really prayers. My harp was simple, strings stretched over wood, but each note was like a smile between me and heaven. One afternoon, as the sun slid lower, I noticed the sheep huddling close. Their ears twitched, eyes wide. Then I saw it, the shadow moving near the rocks. A lion. My heart thudded, but I couldn't run. These sheep were mine to protect. I grabbed my sling, whispering a quick prayer. The lion crept closer, muscles rippling. I picked a stone, smooth and ready, and swung hard. The whiz of the sling cut the air. The stone struck, and the lion stumbled. I rushed forward, heart racing, shouting until it fled. My knees shook, but the sheep were safe. That night I thanked God. I was just a boy, yet he gave me courage. I lay under the stars, realizing courage wasn't about size, it was about trust. At home, my older brothers laughed at me. Shepherd boy, singing to sheep, they teased. They were tall, strong, trained for battles. I was the youngest, the smallest. Sometimes their words stung like thorns. I carried food to them when they worked in the fields, and they barely looked at me. But Father trusted me with the flock, and I trusted God. I told myself that even if no one saw my worth, God did. At night, I replayed their voices in my head, then drowned them out with songs of praise. I whispered, "Lord, you are my strength." And deep down, I felt seen. Maybe not by men yet, but surely by God. There was a stream at the edge of the pasture where I liked to rest. The water was clear, pebbles shining beneath it. I dipped my feet in, letting the cool flow wash away my worries. The sheep drank nearby, safe and calm. I often picked up stones here, smooth and perfect for my sling. Each one felt like a secret gift. I practiced while the sheep grazed, hitting tree trunks with careful aim. The rhythm of water, the swish of the sling, the thud of stones, it felt like a song. I wondered if God was preparing me for something bigger, though I didn't know what. The stream whispered back, steady and sure, "Trust." Night on the hills was both scary and beautiful. Wolves howled in the distance, and shadows stretched long. The sheep curled close together, their breath slow and steady. I sat awake, my sling in my hand, a fire crackling nearby. Above me, stars covered the sky like a million diamonds. I often counted them until I grew tired. I thought about God's promise to Abraham that his children would be as many as the stars. I whispered, "I am one of them." That thought made me smile. Even though I was young and unknown, I was part of God's plan. With that, I drifted into sleep, the stars still watching. One morning, I noticed a lamb missing. My heart sank. I searched the hills, calling softly. At last, I found it trapped in a thorn bush, trembling. Its wool was scratched, but its eyes lit up when it saw me. Gently I lifted it out, brushing away the thorns. The lamb pressed against me, safe again. Carrying it back on my shoulders, I felt joy deeper than words. The flock bleated happily as we returned. That day I understood shepherding was not just about guarding, it was about seeking, saving, carrying. I thought, maybe this is what God does for us too. When I returned home one evening, Father looked at me differently. He asked, "How were the sheep?" I told him about the lion, the wolves, and the lost lamb. His eyes softened, pride shining through. He placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "You are brave, David." My chest swelled. For once, I felt noticed. I wasn't just the youngest or the smallest. I was trusted. That night, I played my harp for Father. His smile was quiet, but it meant more than words. I carried that moment with me always, like a hidden treasure. I didn't know then what awaited me. A messenger came one day, telling me I was needed at King Saul's court to play music. My harp, my songs, my prayers, they had reached beyond the hills. My heart raced as I walked toward the palace. I was still a shepherd boy, but maybe God was weaving a bigger story through me. I looked back at the hills, the sheep, the stream. They had been my training ground, my school, my first stage. Now God was opening a new door. I whispered, "Lead me, Lord." I didn't yet know about the giant who waited in the valley. I didn't know my sling and my courage would be tested before the whole nation. All I knew was this: God had been with me on the hills, by the stream, in the night, and against the lion. He had been with me in my songs, my fears, and my joys. That gave me peace. Before the battle, before the fame, before the crown, I was just a boy who trusted God, and that was enough. Did David's quiet songs and courage in the hills touch your heart? His story shows us that trust in God begins in the small moments long before the big battles. Like this video if you believe God prepares us in secret before using us in public. Subscribe for more Bible stories, told in a way kids and families can feel deeply. Share this story with someone who needs to know that their small steps matter to God. And in the comments tell us which part of David's shepherd life inspired you the most, the songs, the courage, or the quiet trust. Let's keep spreading these timeless stories of faith together.